Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. What I can say about this particular video is that it's kind of close to home. It's always close to home, but this deck that I'm going to reveal today is actually, um, it's the path that I'm walking myself, so to speak, hence the dressing. That's a little bit different than you're used to. The path that I'm walking is the path of Druidry, and I'm going to show you a deck today that's released in, I think it was the autumn last year, which would be autumn 2024. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's a very beautiful deck. It's a little bit different from what, um, let me put it this way, the inspiration comes from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, or the Smith-Wade deck, as I prefer to call it. But there are slight differences, and I actually think that those differences are kind of interesting. I've been waiting to do this video because I've wanted to use this deck so much, but for some reason I had it in my head that I wasn't going to use it before I'd done this video of revealing the deck, which again means that since the past month and a half, life's happened, you know, and I just haven't had the energy to do the video and the energy to, well, actually it's not a month and a half. I got this as a Christmas present, so it's a little less than that. Um, but the period for me where my energy's been low works on a month and a half by now. But I'm starting to come back up, and then I thought to myself, well, one of the things that I kind of hesitated with about doing the video was that, oh, but I haven't had a clean desk, and I haven't, you know, it's kind of, there was a little bit of a perfectionist. I wanted, to have the energy to make sure that the picture frame is right, the setup is right with the crystals and all of that. And it dawned on me that that is not the way that I want to, well, said in a big way, I want to live my life, but it's more than it's kind of this. When you go on social media, one of the things that I like to do on social media, I like to, work with filters and sort of create a mood with my pictures, especially on Instagram. But I also like um, telling stories, showing things that are real and not filtered. So it dawned on me that what I was actually doing was working against my very core being. Because if it mattered more to me how the appearance was rather than the message, then this would not be, in tune with who I am. And it would be more of a presentation rather than a reveal and a communication. So, even though that I felt a little bit tired today, and even though that, I have tons of crystals and tons of cards on my desk, and you can't see it, and there's a part of me that's pleased with the fact that you can't see it, but there's tons of things here, and it's a little bit messy, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay to be a little bit messy sometimes. So that was a quite big introduction. If you've not come across my videos or my Instagram or whatever before, my name is Elias, and I'm working the um, Instagram profile called Balance Ball, which is kind of if I translate it into English, it would be something like um, a dwell of a bard. And a bard is part of Druidry, and a bard is a storyteller. So that's where that name comes from. There's going to be timestamps throughout this video, so if you're watching this on a medium where you can actually, choose the timestamps, I'm going to start with um, revealing the deck that I'm talking about, and we're going to go through it one by one. And after that, I am going to just because I've waited so long using them, I'm going to do a reading with them. A reading like I have started doing, where I just pull a card, and if you resonate with that card, that reading could be for you. And if you don't resonate at all, then, I mean, by all means, watch if you want to, but it's likely not gonna resonate with you that much. Or maybe it will, you never know. But it's all going to be in the timestamp, so you can navigate through there. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Druidry, I'm going to give you a very, very quick recap right now. So, Druidry consists of the three tenets. It's the life philosophy, which very shortly kind of encompasses a deep abiding love for nature, a love for nature that is so strong that it's defining the life of a druid. That's the one tenet. Another tenet, or the next step, so to speak, could be druidry as a spiritual belief. That means that a druid sees nature as spiritual, that everything in nature has spirit. A druid with, connecting to druidry with a spiritual belief reconnects to nature, like nature and all spirits in nature, like our ancestors did. And then there's the final step, so to speak, or the third tenet, and that is druidry as a sort of religion, as someone honoring deities. And that's actually because our ancestors, to them, deities were very, very real. Regardless of the form they came in, it could be a personification of natural forces, stuff like that. It could come in many shapes and forms, so to speak. But the fact that it was important for our ancestors is very much real. Ancestry is one of the things that is incredibly important to a druid, or at least to the vast majority of druids. It is a sort of way to pass on the information, the knowledge, the wisdom that our ancestors had revealed. Now, the thing is that Druidry obviously is, like Wicca, a fairly new, modernized path of what scholars and seekers the past handful of centuries have rediscovered. And to be honest, there's not a lot of original material relating to Druidry, and to sort of tell us how the Druids actually were way back in the day. But there are little bits and pieces, and when you put them together and kind of use a little bit of logic and a little bit of imagination, then we're kind of getting what we describe as Druidry today. So, as said, ancestry is an extremely important bit of being a druid, and therefore with ancestors, revering deities to the extent that they did, many druids actually feel like adding druidry and reconnecting, no, not adding druidry, sorry, adding deities and adding religion, religious ways into their practice is one of the ways that I sort of honor our ancestors. There are some core beliefs in Druidry, and when I say it like that, it's because Druids are known for their, I want to say, eclecticism, their way of choosing their very own individual path. Even within orders, you can find druids that connect to druidry and connect to nature in different kinds of ways, and who practice rituals in, you know, their own particular way. That's kind of the anchor of druidry, is the right to choose one's own path. So eclecticism is kind of a big deal within druidry. So you're probably not going to find two druids that are the same. Nevertheless, there are core beliefs within Druidry, and I'm going to mention a few of them right now. So, the core belief of a Druid is sort of this, for one, this love of nature. And when I say love of nature, it's not like, you know, taking a stroll in a park or something like that. It's a deep, profound love of nature where the Druid honors and respect everything natural, to the point where a druid will make a lot of effort to harm none of the natural world. Obviously, in today's modern age, that becomes a little bit difficult at times, but to the extent of that druid's ability, he or she or they will seek a path where that causes the minimum amount of harm. Another core belief is reconnecting to the seasons, because that's what our ancestors did. They didn't have a calendar per se, they didn't have, you know, all the things that our modern age has that, sorry to say, is actually more or less causing us stress in the western part of the world. So Druidry is about reconnecting to the seasons, because as a Druid, we understand ourselves to be part of nature, not separate from it. That means that our life cycles and our energies naturally ebbs and flows with the tidings of the seasons. So that's another big thing within Druidry. A third core belief, I would say, is the curiosity, the thirst, and the search for wisdom. Because it's not like you read a book about druidry and then as a druid you feel like you're settled, because you don't. It's more like, okay, so now I've learned this, how can I expand my knowledge even further? And that's really the what we can tell from some of the little original bits and pieces, is that the druids were kind of these knowledge keepers in a sense, and their job, so to speak, I don't think that's the right word, you know, if we take it back to that time, but in today's language, we'd say that their job would be to hold knowledge, find knowledge, in order to find solutions to the problems that we're facing. Um, that can be something as little as, you know, litter in the local environment. It can be something as big as the climate of the world, or how deforestation happens on the planet. So there are many levels to work this at, but the essential part of a druid life is actually to sort of find knowledge. It's not, accepting a reel on Instagram and thinking, oh, but then that's how that works. No. If I see a reel on Instagram about some kind of environmental issue, then I'm going to go like, oh, that's interesting. And then I'm going to start searching, because I'm not interested in fake news. I'm not interested in manipulated news in order to benefit some sort of organization. What I want and what I seek as a druid is as close to the truth as one can get. And I say that very deliberately because truth is relative. The last core belief that I want to talk about is, and it kind of relates to this ancestry reverence that druids have, and that is the belief that we all reincarnate. We accept that our human lives here is a part of a cycle. It's a part, what's the thing that a minister says in church at a funeral? Something along the lines of, from dust you were born and to dust you'll become, or something like that. I'm not really much of a churchgoer, so bear with me here. But it's kind of that sentiment that druids talk themselves into. That feeling of, well, we were born of Mother Earth and we will redescend into Mother Earth, and we'll be born from Mother Earth again, just like a tree blooms in spring, loses its leaves at winter, autumn and winter, and reblooms again in spring. And that's the eternal cycle of nature, of Mother Earth and Father Sky for that matter. So that is an essential part of a druid belief. And when I say an essential part, again, I want to clarify that there's going to be druids out there that doesn't really have that sentiment about reincarnation, because again, any druid defines and honors his, her, theirs own path. So that's really what Druidry is about. And I know that it may seem like I've been talking quite a lot about Druidry before I've even revealed the deck that I'm going to show you, but I assure you that I've only just really, with the tiniest little needle, I've scratched the surface of Druidry. If you want to get familiar with Druidry, I'm going to make sure that I will add some resources to the description below this video, because there's so many, and I mean, again, because a druid defines his own path, then you're going to find books that the history may be mostly similar. There will be various interpretations of events in the past, but for the most part it's going to be similar, obviously. And for the most part the core beliefs of Druidry are going to be similar, but there are going to be a difference in opinions, a difference in how that author think that you should practice Druidry, etc., etc. So again, there's so much material out there if you really know where to look for it. So if you're interested, resources is going to be in the description, and happy hunting. So again, before I reveal the deck, it's right here and I can't wait. Before I reveal the deck, I'm just going to say that I'm going to be doing, it wasn't really planned, but I am going to be doing a video where I kind of go through the different card decks that I have and maybe will get, that is related to Druidry, because I find or have found that as a Druid that really loves making these cards and making spreads and stuff like that, it's kind of been hard to find card decks that were specifically Druid related. This one is actually a pretty good one. It's not the only one. There are others, and they are okay, so to speak, but they've not really resonated. So I'm going to be doing a video where I'm going to go through various kinds of decks that, for a Druid, newly started Druid on a new path with a similar love for cards, is going to find, hopefully, something, a card deck that they can start with. If not for anything else, then, you know, at least just to nerd a little bit about Druidry, because, yeah, I'm a nerd too, so that's gonna happen. But anyway, let's dive in. The deck that I'm going to go through today is this one. It is the Druidic Tarot. The thing about this deck is that it's I think when most people talk about Druids, they think about people living on the British Isles. Anywhere, you know, Scotland, Ireland, England, some of the isles along the coastal line. The thing about Druidry is that Druidry is actually more related to the Celts. And the Celts, although we often consider them to be from the British Isles, the Celts were actually a very big part of the Central European people way back in the day. And Druids were a part of the Celts. So, while mostly we connect to Druidry in sort of this British Isle kind of way, you know, geographically, it's actually something that has been a very big part of the European history. The reason why I'm saying this is because this is actually the first time that I'm sitting with something in my hands that's created from someone not living in that kind of British Isle area, Ireland and stuff like that. That part of Europe, he doesn't live there. So, and the guidebook, it comes in, it's kind of this little fine piece here, and it has 4 languages, yes, English, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. This guy was born and raised in the northern Italy, and that's really one of the fascinating things, because usually I read and work with things created by Druids that lives in England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Northern Ireland, you know, that kind of area. So this was kind of a new one for me, and doesn't make me any less curious. But I think we're ready now to sort of flip the camera down, and then we're going to be going through each and every card of the deck. I'm going to open the box again to kind of have the experience with me, and then we're just going to go through the deck, and after that we're going to draw some cards for a collective reading. So, see you on the table. So this is how it looks, the Druidic Tarot. I'm hesitant in pronouncing the name, but Andrea Cogerino, maybe. It's right here. And David Lopez. Let's take a look. So, as said, it's a very sturdy, lovely box, actually. And as I said, we have a guidebook containing 4 different languages, and the description of the card is actually pretty thorough compared to some of the decks that only has this little brieflet with it, or leaflet, I think it's called. Pardon. If I make mistakes, it's because English is my first language, so you're gonna have to bear with me on that one. But it's a pretty, you know, it's a lovely guidebook. I like the fact that there's actually some more elaborate descriptions of the card and what they do. So, are you ready? This is, let's just take a look at it. It's from Lo Scarabeo, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. I often have this feeling like Lo Scarabeo has these tiny, kind of thin boxes, but obviously this is not always the case. This is quite sturdy, quite a nice box for the cards. And I'm going to say this because the first time I went through these, I noticed that my hands actually got a bit tired. And it's not because, I mean, the paper is not that sturdy actually, but for some reason, it's a rather heavy set of a tarot deck. So, but look at that. How beautiful is this? Let's start. Whoops. Very lively too. As you can see, they are, there we have it. They are a little bit glossy, but not, you know, too much. It's just because they are very new. So don't worry, when they've been used a few times, they're going to be quite all right. And this is probably one of the sweetest fools I have ever seen. I absolutely love this fool. So, so yeah, I hope I'm going to draw that one day in a reading, but we'll see. Then we have the Magician. And now I'm not going to be introducing every single card. I'm just slowly going to go through them. And whenever something, you know, pops into my head, then, you know, I'll maybe stop for a second. Can you actually see? I think you can see what the cards say. Now, as you can see, there are quite the inspiration from the Rider-Waite-Smith. Look at this. This is absolutely gorgeous. So there's quite a lot of inspiration from the Rider-Waite-Smith, but still, you know, honoring. And this one is absolutely, look at that. We have the man up here. And we have the man right here. That's kind of cool. And it almost looks like a bird. Huh. We have the death. What was I saying? I was saying, yes, I was saying that it has the inspiration from the Rider-Waite, but as you can see, there are sort of this adaptation into a Celtic Druid way. but there are definitely, I mean, visually, the artwork, and I think most card users, tarot users, tarot readers, oracle readers, I think most of us appreciate, this artistic aesthetic in whatever genre we prefer. But I gotta say that for me, look at that. I gotta say that for me, the aesthetics of this deck is just simply beautiful. Now we're heading into the Cups suit. And we have the Two of Cups. So there are certain things where, look, this is one of the more obvious ones where the inspiration really comes from the Rider-Waite. I know that there is a specific one where I was like, oh, what was that about? But I'm gonna see if I notice it as I go through the deck. Otherwise, maybe you do. We have gone past the Page, Knight, Queen, and King, and we have the Apprentice of Cup as the Page. We have the Adept as the Knight. We have the Druidess of Cups, or Druidess as the Queen, and we have the Druid as the King. I want to make a little note about this because in my own country, I know that there are Druid orders, and I have very deliberately chosen not to be part of them because they are not granting women access into their circle. And for me, that doesn't resonate with Druidry as I consider Druidry to be. Because in the love of our Mother Earth, in the reverence of nature, in the work to create a world that resembles or resonates with respect, love, harmony, it doesn't make sense to me that you would deny half the world's population a say on how things should work and how things should be. It makes absolutely no sense to me, and I can't say anything but I feel like it's some kind of Freemasonry that just took the word Druidry and tried to do something with that. We have the Ace of Stones. This is the Pentacles. So yeah, that's really, of course, anyone, as I said, and I've said multiple times, and you're going to hear me say it a lot more in many videos to come whenever I talk about Druidry, each Druid to their own. Each Druid has a right to choose their own path. And that also means that I have every right to find an order where there is no discrimination, where everyone is equal and everyone speaks with the same authority, with a slight but, because obviously some who has been in Druidry for 20 years have more knowledge to share than someone who just entered. So there is that little difference. But if a new Druid in an order comes up with something, he is being equally listened to, or should be equally listened to, as someone who's been there for a few decades, because his idea may be just as valid. He may see something that the old ones don't. Okay, so, and luckily I found that. I found an order that kind of resonated with me in that level. Why did I think about that? Oh yeah, that's because this deck actually speaks into that equality by, usually we say queen as secondary to a king, at least in a kind of a royal way. But this one is actually using druidess and druid sort of to equalize the two. And I like that. I like that about this deck. Anyway, enough talk. Let's go through with the stones suit. You have the 4 of stones. This reminds me a lot about Bridget, the fire goddess. A comment on in book that is actually kind of relevant right now, at least in some practices. And we have the druidess again. Look at that detail here. This really speaks into that reverence of nature as being alive. And we have the wands. Look at that transformational energy about this card. And with almost, I don't know if that is the earth underneath here. And this sword here is kind of like, it reminds me of the Archangel Michael, his sword, and that transformational energy. And we're talking about the suit of swords, so it's kind of tapping into this search of wisdom and using wisdom and knowledge to maintain, to heal the place where we live, which is the planet, Mother Earth. It's absolutely beautiful, as are all the other cards. And then we have, you know, the little extra cards that usually is there. Now the thing is, I just realized, and that's kind of why I went quiet, I just realized that I think I missed, well, not think, I know that I missed the card where I really felt it was very much different from the Rider-Waite. Was it the Three of Stones? I actually think this was the one, yeah, because Three of Stones, that is Three of Pentacles. And usually Three of Pentacles is, you know, this collaboration card. And this one is kind of like, it reminds, it has a bit of that Four of Swords vibe to it. So I think this is actually an incredibly fascinating Three of Stones. So it's going to be one of the cards that I'm going to be looking into. But anyway, that was the Druidic Tarot. If you're not up for the channeled reading that comes just a little bit further along, then this was the deck, and if you liked it, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. Just, you know, let me know what you think of it. Is this something that could resonate with you in your cards, the way you work with cards, or what would resonate with you if this is not it? If it really resonates and you feel like the coming reading where I'm going to be using, let me just lay them out for you. I'm going to be using the Magical Botanical as our key card, our significator card. I'm going to draw some extra knowledge from Wisdom of the Oracle, and then we're going to be specifying with the Druidic Tarot. So that's going to be the reading that comes just after this. Right, welcome back. That was the Druidic Tarot deck that we just went through, and it's now time to do a collective reading. Because it's a tarot deck, then I'm going to be using those for the actual readings. So let me just say that the significator card is going to be, you see what I was talking about in the beginning of the video with too many things on the table? I just took the wrong decks. But the significator card is going to be from this deck, the Magical Botanical. And then we're going to draw some additional cards from the Wisdom of the Oracle by Baron Reed. And then we're going to get our more specified information from the Druidic Tarot that we've just been going through. So that's going to be the cards used in the collective reading. And again, I'm going to flip the camera down so we can get a better look at the cards. So see you in the reading. Hi and welcome back again, and this is going to be the collective reading. As said, we're going to be looking at a key card from the Magical Botanical Oracle, some extra definition from the Wisdom of the Oracle, and then we're going to have the Druidic Tarot to sort of further the clarification. Now, with all these crystals that I have, let's just add in a few here. There we go. And you know what, this one is actually my very first crystal. I don't know if, oh yeah, it does. This is a moonstone, and it's because I'm a Cancer, so moonstone is really the stone for Cancers. This is my very first stone, and I found it the other day in a minor cleanup, so I'm going to be using that today. But let's take a look at the key card. Let's see if it will be something that resonates with you or not. Now, the thing about these readings is that it's not a pick a card reading. So you really get this key card and you can determine whether or not you feel like this is a, thank you, this is a reading for you. So that was our key card. Now let's see. Let's take all the way up here. We have the Sorcerer's Violet. It's card number 23. And this is what the card looks like. The detail in these cards is absolutely incredible. The artwork is just amazing. Really, really amazing. So this is your key card. Let's put it up here. So this is, we have planetary, let me put it back up. We have planetary significators with the Moon, Venus, Jupiter and Saturn, and the elements of water and earth. The thing about when I do these readings is I let people sort of decide whether or not this card resonates with them. And if it doesn't resonate, there's still the possibility that you would feel drawn to, you know, listening anyways. If you do that, then it could very well be that it's because the Sorcerer's Violet isn't really something that resonates with you per se. That's not the key message for you. But maybe your intuition is actually guiding you into something else that this reading is going to reveal. So if you're having that feeling of not quite resonating but still not really wanting to let go, this could still be a reading for you. Just, you know, be a little bit, well, always be picky about what you resonate with or not. But, you know, be particularly aware that there may be some more detailed single out cards that is going to be for you. But we have the Sorcerer's Violet, and let's get some additional information before we say anything. We have one here. Nope. It's odd with these cards because I kind of like the artwork to them, but the finish of them, you know, the glossary of them and the thickness, okay, it makes them kind of hard to shuffle, at least for my hands. So let's see, we have a leg up, number 34, a leg up. Isn't that sweet? So we have the leg up, and we have the one that was jumping out at us, number 30. We have TikTok. Let me just align them here. Okay, first things first. Obviously there's going to be a more detail as we go into the Druidic Tarot. But what I'm getting first and foremost here is some sort of balance between psychic awareness and remaining firm on your feet. We have the water and the earth, and those are, it's quite feminine powers actually, but one is very solid and the other is very fluid. So there's kind of this balance going on. I want to say don't be in a rush with things. That's another message coming through, because tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. TikTok also, with that crocodile from Peter Pan, it can also be this kind of something's coming. And now I'm getting winters coming from Game of Thrones. Some venture into an increased psychic awareness. And look at how this baby ice bear, polar bear, is being supported by its mother. It's getting a leg up. It doesn't have to do the work on its own. So those are the initial messages, and you may right now have the feeling like, okay, this kind of resonates with something I'm going through right now, so keep watching. Or it can be that it's like, that's not really what I'm here for, and then this may not be for you. But let's dive a little bit further into this message. So a balance between what I want to say is psychic awareness and a sense of being grounded, a sense of not losing your anchor. And being supported. Something's coming to support you. Can we get some additional information, please, about these cards? Okay, thank you. Can we get some more? Yes, we can. Beautiful. And I see that one too. Yes. So, oops, sorry. Let's see what we have. We have the Five of Swords. Let me just put these so you can see them. There we go. And we have the Two of Cups. Again, look at the diversity. Look at the diversity of the energies here. The Five of Swords, the Two of Cups. It's quite crazy, actually. And we have the Seven of Wands. We have Temperance. And we have the Devil. Right. So these are your cards. And let me just sit with them for a bit. It's odd how I feel like I'm tending to placing them right. Are you trying to figure out something? Are you trying to solve something by the way, cheers and coffee. Are you trying to solve something in your life? Trying to organize? Is there something that needs to be gathered, put into their places? But yeah, let me just sit with them and meditate on them for a bit. I actually feel like this balance between water and earth, balance between the psychic and the grounding, I actually feel like it hasn't been particularly easy. There's some sense of conflict, of struggle that is, I want to say past you, but I actually feel like it's still sort of echoing in your life right now. If we take it sort of chronically, what's that called? In order, let me put it that way, in timely order. We come from a sense of struggle, a sense of conflict, and we enter into a union, a collaboration. Two of Cups can also be sort of like a choice, not in and on its own per se, but in the fact that it resonates so much with the Lover's card. It actually has this sense of choice to it. The Two of Cups is union. It's love personified, so to speak. It's harmony, it's collaboration, in a very loving way. Then we have the Seven of Wands that has this victory power to it. Look at how he is manifesting like crazy. I mean, this is Gandalf putting down his spear, saying, "You shall not pass," and just breaking the bridge. That is manifestation. It dawns on me that I'm actually, look at how he's wiping away those arrows, just like, you will not affect me. And then we enter into the Temperance that is much more calm. And again, speaking into the balance that this reading is opening with. And then we have the Devil, the lovely, lovely Devil that, you know, many people actually fear pulling in a deck. I kind of like the Devil because the Devil always shows us that there's something we need to be alert to. So my beautiful souls, if you are coming from some sort of conflict, some sort of disturbance that is still lingering in your life, if it lingers, I want to invite you to look into why it lingers. Is it because you're giving it attention that it really doesn't deserve? Are you giving it attention and thereby sort of involuntarily, subconsciously keeping it alive? Because the thing is, balance comes from knowing our shadows. It comes from knowing our obstacles. And you can't really have a healthy sense or place of balance if you continuously have shadowy things lurking into your life. Again, with the Devil here, be aware that the chains, I'm talking into the Rider-Waite imagery right now, be aware that the chains around your neck are not tight. They are not tight. Whatever obstacle you may feel like you are sitting with that prevents you from walking, be aware that those obstacles, for the most part, is actually something that you create within your own mind. The limitations that we experience as human beings very often are created within our own minds. Now, that doesn't mean that there are not things in the physical world that holds us back, because obviously there is. But we do have a choice in our priorities, for instance. I'm not feeling like this, although we do have the earth, I'm not feeling like this is actually a reading about something going on in a physical realm. I'm actually feeling more like this is a reading for you who, I want to say, are on the verge of some sort of new step on your spiritual journey, because you're at a threshold right now. And you may have traveled a bit on a spiritual path, or you may be quite new to it. It doesn't really matter. The thing is that you're on a new threshold. And when we are on a new threshold in a spiritual journey, it very often puts sort of a pressure on us. And that's sort of the universe's way of saying, are you ready? Again, with the TikTok, are you ready? You're being invited into a sense of balance. You've been invited into a spiritual path, but a reminder that it's easy to get caught up in the psychic world. It's easy to get caught up in all things spiritual. If you are binge watching tarot readings in order to get an answer to a question, but every time you get the answer, you find another reading because maybe there's an easier answer in that reading. You know, there are so many ways to get lost in that spiritual realm. And I want to, right now, I don't really know where it comes from. It just came into my head. I want to invite you to tune into your intuition, because that is actually what is going to be a part of your leg up here. Your intuition is going to guide you. That's not to say that there's not going to be someone coming into your life, like the crocodile, giving you a leg up. And don't be afraid of the crocodile, because if you are friends with a crocodile, it has a pretty sturdy skin. It's a good protector. So there may be coming someone into your life to give you a leg up, to give you some sort of support, to give you some sort of guidance as to how you can navigate this new threshold that you're on. But your intuition can actually do the same. Now, we're different as human beings. Some prefer to rely solely on their intuition, and others keep seeking answers outside of themselves. And then there's all the grey areas in between. Wherever you are on that spectrum, take what resonates from this, because if you're not entirely comfortable with relying solely on your intuition, you may need some external guidance, and that guidance is out there. It is. Trust me, it's out there. If you haven't found it yet, it's just a matter of time. It's going to be there. The clock is ticking, so to speak. What I want to say to you with this journey, with this threshold, is that there may be some turbulence. It may feel uncomfortable as you're stepping up on that threshold. The step may be a little bit big. But the thing is that once you land on that step, calm is gonna enter. Why a victory card? I mean, obviously, actually stepping up to that new threshold is a victory, but there's something more to it. If we look into the Saturn energy, I'm going to ask you first, and really be still in your heart. When you're sitting with this reading, are you having a feeling like this is a natural evolvement of your spiritual journey? Or are you feeling like this is something karmic? I want you to really feel into that. Because if you feel like this is a natural evolvement of your spiritual path, then maybe not pay attention so much for the next couple of minutes, because we have Saturn showing up and we have the Seven of Wands. And for those of you that feel like this is karmic, that feel like this is something way deeper than just a step up, just a new threshold, this is a reading that invites you to look into this card. What creates the disturbance? What creates the conflict? What are your chains, so to speak? Because those are the ones that you need to release. And it's not just about releasing them for this particular threshold. It's actually about releasing them for all the thresholds to come. And I get that it can sound like it's similar to each other. Bear with me for a moment. I have a candle that needs to be blown out. This one right here. So as I was saying, blowing out a candle. If it matters, it matters, and I'll get back to it. It can be quite similar with these when I talk about, releasing the chains and whether or not it's a natural progress or it's a karmic thing. One of the ways that you can determine that is this something, is this dilemma that you're in, that echoes into your life right now, is that something that has been reoccurring? Is it a pattern in your life? If it's a new issue or something that you've maybe seen one or twice before, then this is probably a natural progress in your journey. If this is something that you are consistently throughout your life being faced with, then chances are that we're going to have to look into the Saturnian energy and the fact that this is more of a karmic reading for you, which doesn't really minimize the importance of it. The main message is still the same. It's still about the balance. It's still about connecting, evolving the psychic part of you whilst still maintaining being earthbound. It's still about that. It's just It can be a natural progress in your life, or it can be something that you are being invited to once and for all, finally, to deal with. Um, and I feel like with the TikTok card that the universe, if this is karmic for you, the universe is actually telling you it's about time. You've struggled enough with this. And I also feel like the universe is saying, we kind of need you to release this. We kind of need you to reach that balance. We need you to loosen the chains on yourself. And that is what the card of victory is about. Because anyone who has tried conquering something, a karmic residue of some sort, will know how incredibly empowering that is. Regardless of whether or not you've been supported or had help, it doesn't matter. Just the fact that you overcome, finally, something that has haunted you throughout your life, that is beyond description so empowering. But we are being guided into a balance here, and that's really one of the things that I want to stress to anyone who's fairly new on their spiritual path, is the fact that balance is key. It really is, because you can dive so deep into the spiritual realm that you kind of get lost to your own physical life. And if that physical life has been filled with trauma, for instance, it can be very tempting to get lost and to let oneself get lost, to let oneself be chained in the spiritual realm. But that's not what you're being guided to here. You're being guided to have both. You're being guided to increase balance. Like we talk about work-life balance, then this is a psychic grounding balance. Yes. Can we get some additional advice for the people watching, please? Some additional advice for this particular kind of journey. Oh, 4, okay. Okay, so we have the Hierophant. Look at all these little fae here. We have the World. We have the Hermit. Oh, these are big, big cards. We have the Hermit. And we have the Wheel. Oh my god. Yes. So these are the extra advice for you who are watching. These are quite big cards to have, which tells me that this is something that is I'm feeling like the universe is actually saying, hey, pay attention now. This is it. Look at the cycles. Again, with the karmic things repeating themselves. The thing about the wheel is that it spins and spins and spins, and you're on it, and suddenly you're off. And it can seem like a coincidence where you're being thrown off, but you get to choose. You get to choose through the knowledge, through contemplation, through connecting into your intuition. You get to choose how many turns you want to do on this wheel. And the beautiful thing about this, if you were listening at the beginning of the video before I revealed the Druidic Tarot deck, I'm going to get some more coffee, excuse me. If you were with me in the beginning of the video, you would have heard me describe Druidry as something, one of the core beliefs of Druidry to be about searching for wisdom, about using knowledge in order to find solutions and, to problems in the world with the aim of a sense of completion. And that's actually, as a druid, I think this is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful set of cards because we have the knowledge here. We have the external knowledge and we have the internal knowledge, the soul knowledge. And look at how they center the world. Look at how they embrace the completion. I mean, literally, you can't really write something like this. Again, we're having the balance. We're having the earth with the water. We're having that psychic versus grounding. We're having the wheel that spins on top of the tick-tock, 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 tick-tock. And you get to choose where you want to exit the wheel. You get to choose how the path continues. So this is really just a very huge, this advice that I just drew is a very huge emphasis on keeping the balance. And I want to say that if that means that you're going to have to make schedules, if that is the key to create that balance, go ahead. There is no right or wrong way of doing this. But it is a very, very thick line under what our key card was talking about. The balance between earth and water, the balance between psychic and grounding, the balance between external versus internal. It is just reinforcing the message, asking you to create that balance. Now, depending on whether or not this is a natural flow or the karmic, it can be troublesome or it can be quite the challenge. But I want to sort of revisit the devil card and say that the chains around you are not as tight as you think. They're not. I mean, God knows I've been there so many times. I get that chains can really feel like they're really, really tight. But when you really look into it, And when you look into your priorities of what you actually want of a certain situation, the chains are really not that tight. Very rarely. Sometimes they are. Sometimes there are external things that you can't do anything about them. But for the most part, chains are usually something you can just lift off. And I say just with the knowledge that there's nothing that's just. But I want to invite you to look into your chains. I want to invite you to, when this video is over, if this has all resonated with you, then take a piece of paper and write down, let's say, 3 things that you think about when I say chains. 3 things that you consider to be chains right now. Okay? I want you to think about them and look at them and go into what it is they are preventing you from doing and how you feel they have been created. And you can use this as a meditation. You can use this, in whatever way you want. What I just really want to do is create some sort of awareness right now. What are your 3 priority chains to deal with in your life? For some, it can be as simple as learning to set boundaries, or simple as it's not simple at all. For some, it can be walking into the office of your boss and asking for a raise. It comes in all sorts of levels, shapes, and sizes. But find 3 chains that you feel are your top priority right now. And take some time and look into what they prevent you from doing, how they got there, and how they affect you right now. Because depending on how tight you feel they are, you're going to feel them in some sort of way. It may even have given you some physical ailments like not sleeping well, stuff like that. Look into it. It can be very simple chains. It can be very difficult chains. The more difficult they are, I want to say that you're into the karmic reading. And you'll probably find that the more difficult they are, the more of a chance there is that this is something you've seen before. This is something that is a reoccurring thing in your life. You don't have to continue to do that. You can choose to jump off the wheel and create your own completion, to create your balance. Yes. Now, if you've been through other readings that I've done, you will know that at some point I go quiet, and that just simply means that nothing more comes through. And obviously I can always, pause the video and, look into the details and all of that, but I tend to be very true to the fact that when nothing else comes through, then there's nothing more for me to translate, so to speak, right now. And whatever other messages there may be, they will come in another video. So whenever I feel that my mind goes quiet, that nothing more pops into my head, that for me is a sign that that is the reading. Simply is that. Now, obviously, if you are one of those who have a karmic feel about this reading, then this may have affected you in a stronger sense emotionally. I want to sort of draw the attention back to the leg up. And I want to remind all of you that there's always support. There is always someone who can carry you a bit of the way. There's always someone who can guide you. There's always someone you can reach a hand out to. You just have to look. And there will always, always be a universe rooting for you. You're not alone in this. Regardless of your situation, regardless of, whether you're having happy tidings, sad tidings, stuff like that, regardless of your situation, you're never alone. There's always the universe there to share it with you. And as a druid, I also want to say you always have your ancestors rooting you along or holding you and comforting you when times are rough. Obviously, that's not what everybody believes, so that's just my way of thinking about life. But you are being guided, and you have the opportunity to reach out if the task ahead of you, regardless of whether it's a natural progress or a karmic thing that has to be cleared out, there is always the possibility of getting help, receiving guidance. I feel like the leg up and the victory are very beautiful cards on the center. And with them in the center, and with all my best wishings, I want to say thank you for watching. If I know I'm repeating myself a bit here, but if you feel like, adding some sort of support to this channel, then, there's the liking, subscribing, commenting, all of that. And in the description below, there are alternative ways of showing support to the channel. In whatever way you can support, I am deeply, deeply grateful. For my part, just doing this reading is a gift for me in and on its own. I'm very, very pleased, happy, and grateful that you have tagged along on this journey. I wish you the best of luck with the work ahead, regardless of how much effort it may take. You are going to do it. You can break the chains, and you will get a leg up, and you will find your victory. I believe that you will. Beautiful people, beautiful souls, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.